I like holding things. Especially mics, I guess. Not mics, because I have to say I'm heterosexual. Now I am. Oh, come on. Give it a hand for that. You know, I used to identify as a lesbian, but now I'm a thespian. You know, when I was born with one foot facing backwards, so I never knew whether I was coming or going. And I got thrown out of the Girl Scouts because I think I was hitting on them. You know, and then I went across the street and threw rocks at the building, and some guy chased me. I almost busted a lung. You know, but I grew up in the Bronx. I grew up in New York, and I never came out as a lesbian. You know, being queer in the 60s, the 70s, and the 80s, it was, you know, very difficult. We were full of shame. You know, the cops would bust you, and you'd get thrown in jail. I was afraid of being abandoned by people, my family, and I had a lot of shame about who I was. But I identified as a lesbian, but I always knew, you know, obviously I'm transgender now, since I threw the cat out of the bag. I was born female, but I never identified with being female. You know, and it was very difficult and an arduous life, and I felt a lot of shame for myself. And so I never came out as a lesbian, although I did tell my mother one time when I was 20-something. We were having dinner, we were drinking, and she got it confused. I was taking vitamins, and I told her I was a lesbian, and I was taking these vitamins, but I was going to stop soon, and she thought I was going to stop being a lesbian. Obviously never happened. I still love women, that's why I identify as a heterosexual. But I am a transgender man, and I am proud of it. I am very proud of it. And when I came out as transgender, I did come out as transgender because I knew once I started taking hormones and I was going to have surgery, I was going to change. And people, you know, when you're a lesbian, you can kind of fit into the crowd. Or if you're gay, you can kind of fit into the crowd. But once you've lived your life a certain way, like I did as a female, and you switch genders, people like wonder, what is up? Like, why do you have like hair on your face? Like, why is your voice getting deeper? How come you don't have any breasts anymore? You know, and so I wanted people to know that this is what's going on, and my fear of abandonment came true, and I lost a lot of relationships when I came out, but I've also gained plenty of relationships. And the one thing that's happened, which was really very powerful for me, because when I was a kid, I was always an athlete, but I loved to perform. I loved to sing and dance, and I did that a lot in grammar school. I performed in talent shows, but once puberty hit, I went into a deep and dark depression. I started to hurt myself. I used substances, and it took a while, but I got sober. I'm 36 years sober now, and I've done, thank you, and you're not, don't worry, you're not triggering me. Keep drinking, have a good time. I'm all for it, you know. But I won't drink, that's for sure. So, it's been a journey for me, and I'm not ashamed to be queer. You know, queer to me is a beautiful word. It's wonderful, and I think even people who are heterosexual, they might not even know it, but I think they're queer too. You know, they might have some queer tendencies, not sexually, but you know, people are strange. People are really strange. You know, today I had an opportunity to talk to student doctors up at UCLA. Since coming out as transgender, I decided to embrace the things I loved as a child. I began to sing. I joined a chorus. I sang for the South Coast Chorale. I auditioned for them in 2017. I sang with them. I sang with the Trans Chorus of LA. I'm in a video with them, with Maggie Zappo, which is great. And then I started to take improv classes. And that led to me getting an audition up at UCLA to become a performance artist. And so I work with student doctors, so I got to share a story with them today about myself. I love talking about myself. But they asked me some really sensitive questions. Like they asked me how many sexual relationships did I have, how much experience do I have, and I told them, you know, I'm like Baskin and Robbins. I've experienced a lot of different flavors, you know. And today I'm living, thank you, Lord. Today I'm living my best life. You know, I've had the opportunity to, like I said, perform. I got invited to become a member of the troupe. And since I got that gig up at UCLA, I decided to go back to college and study theater arts and give myself a gift. You know, give myself a gift and learn more about theater. I wouldn't do that in high school. You know, because I was in a female body. I knew where I was going to be. I mean, I was the leading man, not the leading woman. You know, so today, you know, I get to live my best life. And I'm open about it because it's important. Visibility matters. Yep. It not just matters for people who know me, but it matters for the kids. You know, not all kids are queer, not all kids are transgender, not all kids are homosexuals, but some kids are. And they need to know that they have a future. They need to know that they could live a fulfilled life and be loved and embraced for who they are. And since I've come out, I've gotten more love in my life, and not sexual love. I'm talking about the kind of love that's permanent, the kind of love that sustains you, the intimacy with other people that makes you feel alive. So, you know, happy Pride.